Hello everybody, this is the Daily Heflin, and today we're going to be talking about 12 things that used to scare me as a kid. So without any hesitation, let's get into this list. With number 12, we have the Bunyip from Dot and the Kangaroo movie. Now this is from Australia and it came out in the 70s, and there's this one song that stuck out among all the other songs, and it was about this Bunyip creature. And essentially, if you didn't come home quick enough, this Bunyip creature was going to get you, was going to do nasty things to you, probably kill you. But it was for kids, and they didn't say kill. They just said it's gonna get you. And it had this giant weird creature. It looked like a pizza, and it was like crawling around. It was like running around. It could fly. It can do all this sort of weird stuff. And it was a scary song. Like the piano, it was like in a minor key. And this thing, like, it had this weird, really weird ground noise. It sounded like a sink disposal if you put your mind to it. If you watch the video, I'll put a link down below, and I'll put a picture of it up here. But it was really freaky, just the ground noise and just the people running away from it. And the animation was just really weird. So number 11, we have the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs book. Now, it's not the book itself that scared me. It was the imagery in it. The characters, the way they were drawn with this weird cross-hatching, it just looked really unsettling. And from a distance, it might look okay, but when you look close at it, it just looks really weird. And I read this book when I was in first grade, and I didn't really understand all the words because I was only in first grade and I was in elementary school. But I just love picture books, so I just looked at the pictures, and it was really weird when I was done reading it. I got like this sick feeling in my stomach. And I read it when one day I didn't want to go to recess. I think it was like sick or something, so I just stayed in the office, and I read a couple books, and that was one of them. And it was just really weird. And later on, like a few months later, the teacher wanted to read it to the class. And I was like, oh no, don't read the book. It's scary. It's scary. And the teacher's like, oh, calm down. Calm down. It's not a scary book. Don't try to scare the children. If you're scared, you can go to the office. It'll be okay. So I just kept my mouth shut and just sat in the back and just suffered the entire time. But looking back at it now, the book's not really that creepy. I mean, the imagery is like, it doesn't scare me as much, but it really did back in the day. So number 10, we have the Violet Beauregarde inflation scene from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And this is from the 2005 one with Johnny Depp and Freddie Highmore. I can't believe I remember his name, actually. And you all know the scene. Violet eats the gum, and she starts turning into this giant blueberry. And just the noises, you hear this gurgling, this gushing noise, and she's like whimpering the entire time, and it makes you feel like really bizarre. It was uncanny. And also the imagery, like the animation was really good. The special effects were good for at the time, and it seemed so real, and it just made my stomach churn. And watching it now, it has no effect on me, but back then, it was a lot to handle. So number 9, we have the Magic School Bus Outer Space episode. And it wasn't the episode itself. There was a scene at the end where Arnold and the entire class is on Pluto, I believe. And for some reason, this episode featured, Arnold's cousin that happened to look just like him. I don't know why they weren't related, like sister, brother, but that's for another day. So essentially, Arnold's cousin, Janet, is being a butthole, and she's like, I'm gonna stay here, and I'm just gonna live my entire life here. And Arnold's like had enough at this point. He's like, no. If you stay here, this is what's going to happen to you. And he takes off his, like, space helmet, and his face, like, freezes. Like, his whole head's, like, ice, and his eyes turn into these, like, purple circles. It was just really weird. And, of course, you would die if this happened on real life. I don't even think you could land on Pluto. I don't even know. But, they take him back to the bus, and he's sick, and they put him, like, in this hot water, which wouldn't happen in real life, but it was a kid's show. But the imagery of, like, when you took off the helmet was really scary. So number 8 on this list, we have the Interplanet Janet song from Schoolhouse Rock. And this scared me as a kid really badly. It's the one song about the solar system, how there's like this alien lady, she's like flying around. But the beginning of the song, it opens up and you see the solar system. You see like the planets, you see the giant sun, and everything's like flying around it. And then it zooms in on the sun, and then you just see this yellow ball. and then all of a sudden the sun awakens or something, and like there's a face animated on it, and when it opens its eyes, it's really scary. The eyes, they don't have really like pupils, they're not colored in, they're just like blank circles. And like the mouth is really weird. It's like this wavy line, and it's really, really unsettling. And that just scared me. Just seeing that on a big big box TV back in the day. And I used to pause it to like get over my fear of it, but still, it's kind of freaks me out to this day. And I'll put a picture of it. So for number 7, we have the Island of Emotion skit from Sesame Street. Now, Sesame Street, I was raised on Sesame Street. Elmo, Ernie, Bert, all that stuff. Love it. And I love the little skits in between, like the animation, like real life stuff with the Muppets. I just like that little mixture of diversity. It was just really cool. But there was this one skit, however, it was about, it focused on feelings. And it was this weird animation. They talked about this island, and there's like different spots on the island. Like one would be about happiness, one would be like sadness, and one would be about surprise. But there's this, when it talked about the island of sadness, there's these like creatures, they're like crying, they're crying by this river, and there's this lion was crying. And there's this one frame that just really stood out, and it was like, he was like really letting himself go. He's like, ah! And like his mouth gets really big, and his eyes like get really huge. And you'll see that right on your screen. That just messed me up. And they showed it twice. It like one in the beginning of the song and one at the end. And I was like, no, once is enough. But it's not really scary now, and it's kind of silly. But when I saw it, it just really messed me up for some reason. So number 6, we have the classic SpongeBob episode called Wormy. You all know the episode. SpongeBob and Patrick look after Sandy's caterpillar, and he turns into a butterfly. And SpongeBob and Patrick think a monster ate or killed the butterfly. And when they look at the butterfly for the first time, they showed this close-up of not even a butterfly. It's a horsefly, and you get this loud buzzing sound effect. It's like a jump scare. And this happens like 6 or 7 times in the episode, and it's really freaky. I remember I saw it the first time, and I just had it. I just ran out of the room. And I remember later on, I saw it at the dentist, and I couldn't leave the room. I had to wait with my mother. And I just looked away at the TV during like the whole episode, and I just wouldn't look at the TV, and it was just really scary. It doesn't really scare me right now, but like if you're not prepared for it, it was just really scary. So number 5, we have the science fair episode of Phineas and Ferb. Now, this is a episode where they go to Mars, and Candace is like Queen of the Martians, and they like make her face on Mars, like a giant thing of Candace on the face of the planet. And so later on, something happens, and Dr. Doofenshmirtz's ray or something, whatever he made in the episode that's convenient to the plot, zapped Mars, and her face was destroyed. And it was what was left behind was the face on Mars. Now, the face on Mars is actually a real thing in real life. They years ago they found this face on Mars, and after like further explanation, it wasn't really a face. It was like weird playing with the shadows, which I'll show right there. That's what it looks like in real life. But later in the episode, Candace is like, oh, I gotta bust my brothers, because that happens every episode. So she goes to her mom, and she's like, look through this telescope, you'll see my face, I was the Queen of the Martians. And when the mom looks at it, she doesn't see her face, she sees the aftermath of whatever that ray did to her face. And you see, and it shows this giant close-up of the face of Mars, and it's like the real thing, but it's like red, and it just looks really creepy. It's the same thing, but I was not ready for this. When I was watching this episode for the first time, I was like this close to the TV, because my eyesight was really bad. But when I saw this, it was just this giant close-up of the face of Mars, and it had this really weird, eerie noise with it. And my heart just stopped, and it was absolutely scary, and I was traumatized. But yeah, that was really freaky. So number 4, we have my favorite movie. It's Monster House, but long ago, it was not my favorite movie. When I first saw it in 2006, I did not want to see it. I begged my parent not to take me, and she's like, no, you're going to watch this, and it'll be fun. And it was a 3D movie. We came to a 3D viewing, which didn't help matters. So we're watching Monster House and we're in the back and like we're sitting by the speakers in the back because that's where they are. That's my favorite seat now because I just like being loud. But that's not the main focus. So I'm just watching a movie and it's in 3D, and at the end when the house comes alive, that just messed me up because it was in my face and it was loud. When you'd hear the house like growl, it'd be right in my ear, and it just messed me up. Later on, though, I decided I wanted to watch and get over my fear, so very slowly I started watching it again. I'd like mute the movie at first with the subtitles, and then later on I'd add the sound. And it's one of my favorite movies. I have like 7 copies of it on DVD, both widescreen and full screen. So number 3, we have the entire Barney Outer Space episode. This is where Barney goes to outer space and he like goes to the moon or something because Baby Bop, is that her? Baby Bop is on there with her blanket. And they're just going to save her, I guess. I don't know. The plot was just all over the place. But there's a song. There's 2 songs. The first song is when they're going into space and you see the ship flying. It was like this really weird ship. It had this weird smiley face. Like the smile would be the window screen that the kids and Barney look out of, and then there's like 2 eyes at the top. It was really scary. I guess anything that is put in front of a black screen is scary in my eyes when I was little. And then the ship is just like purple orange. It just looks really weird. And then later on, there's a song where like there's like going through this like asteroid belt. It's not really an asteroid belt because the asteroid belt is literally these random objects. There's a hot dog. There's this green spiral thing. And there's like these other weird shapes. And it's just really weird. Like, why? Well, who would put that on a kid's show? I mean, I guess it's silly, but it's really not silly. It's really terrifying. And even later on, it just gets even worse. There's this, they finally get to the moon, and when you see the moon, it's not just a picture of the moon, just like that. It's a picture of a cartoony moon with a face on it, and it's smiling in the eyes, the soulless eyes. Why do they think putting faces on everything is cute? It's not cute. It's horrifying. It's nightmare fuel, and they need to stop doing that. Ran aside, that episode messed me up. And there's another mention for Barney in the number 1 spot. So for number 2, we have another something that has to do with the moon. These last 3 things have to do with the moon. I guess I'm just terrified of the moon. And I guess I can only blame number 1, but we'll get there. So for number 2, we have the Caillou Lullaby skit. Now, Caillou used to have this episode, and like afterward they have like this song or something. It was really random, and I didn't really watch Caillou for that long because Caillou's annoying, and 4-year-old me was able to make that out. So there's a skit where these 5 little kids, and like there's like, this is hard to explain. Sorry, I say like a lot. There's these 5 kids. They're wearing this nightgown. It's in yellow, and they're dancing in front of this green screen that has like mountains and a forest. And then in the background, there's this moon, this crescent moon, and it's the creepiest thing. It doesn't blink. You just see its eyes are just wide open, and it's just giving this big old grin. And it doesn't blink, it just stays like that the entire time until the end, and that's what messed me up. So, they sing, it's really weird because this 10-year-old singing it, and it's really eerie. The 5 kids, they get into this fish-shaped balloon thing, this rocket ship that has a balloon attached to it. I don't know why it's a fish. I'm still confused. They go up in the sky, and then you get this close-up of the moon, and you see the moon watches the thing go up in there. It doesn't blink. The only thing that moves in this frame are the eyes just going up and watching it. And then the moon winks, and then there's a blackout. And that terrified me as a kid. The close-up of the moon was just enough to traumatize me and make me run out of the room. I actually think I hid behind a chair when I first saw that. But I only saw it once, which I'm really relieved. But yeah, that skit was terrifying. So the number 1 spot, the number 1 thing that scared me was Aiken Drum from Barney. This happened to be from an episode where the kids and Barney wanted to see what nighttime is like, so they decided to be rebellious and not go to sleep. They decided to stay up and just watch the sky, which can only be very amusing for a short time. They stay up, and then they see like these crickets and butterflies, not butterflies, what do you see at night? I don't know, fireflies, those things. And then they see the moon. They see the full moon. And then they sing this really eerie song about it. They sing about this man in the moon and how his hair is made out of spaghetti and his eyes are made of meatballs. And as they're singing, they showed the stuff happening to the moon, and it's really cartoony and it's just really uncanny. And you see spaghetti sprout out of the moon's, like the top of the moon, and you see these meatballs roll on for eyes, and then you see the nose, it's like wiggling back and forth, and then the pizza mouth is just going like this. And this is in front of another black screen. So me watching this in a dark room is terrifying. I was afraid of the moon for years. When I would go outside, I would not look at the moon. I just keep my head down and go about my business. I'd have bad dreams about the moon. Every time I go to sleep, I picture the moon thing coming closer and killing me. Awful. Absolutely awful. I'm still a little bit afraid of it, but not as much anymore. But that was awful. I will put a description if you're brave enough to watch these silly things. But that's it for my video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in if you made it this far. If you like what you see, comment, like, subscribe, and comment what used to scare you as a kid, because I'd love to read what you guys have to say. So with that being said, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Take care. Bye.